I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies that love the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. Sometimes when reviewing those styles of movies that you love, they make more of them. And for the integrity of getting an entire series, you end up having to review ones you don't love. This is the last in this series, and it was released in 1995. And it was directed by Christine Peterson, and written by Rick Fillen, and produced by Michael S. Murray, made by Kings Road Entertainment, and distributed by Vidmark Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, the final in the original Kickboxer series, Kickboxer 5, The Redemption. Originally it was just supposed to be called The Redemption, and they decided to make it a Kickboxer movie. The movie opens in Johannesburg, South Africa, where a henchman named Moon is reporting to his boss, Mr. Nagal, about the fact that they have offered David Sloan a chance to join their kickboxing federation, and David Sloan, the lead from the last 3 movies, has refused.
You have 48 hours in which to eliminate Mr. Sloan and enlist the new American kickboxing champion.
This is how they explain that David Sloan is not in this movie. But do we actually get to see the moment they kill him? Sort of. During the opening credits, we see a shadow of what is supposed to be David Sloan fighting some goons and breaking Moon's leg until finally they kill him. Which is fitting. I mean, he survived Tong Po, then he survived a Brazilian drug and sex trafficking ring, then he survived Tong Po with a bunch of henchmen as a drug cartel, but these couple of guys from South Africa were just too much for him. So now that they've gotten through why David Sloan is not going to be in this movie, we go to the new kickboxer, Matt Reeves, played by Mark Dacascos. Most of you will remember him from being in John Wick 3, whereas I remember him from Brotherhood of the Wolf and Double Dragon. Those will get reviewed eventually. Matt gets the news of David Sloan's passing, his friend, and upon hearing of the news of his friend being murdered, he decides he's going to send flowers. That's it. He's not going to go seek justice or revenge, just a nice floral arrangement for his family. And aside from the occasional mention later of one of his friends, not even saying a name, that's really the end of the legacy of the guy who led the last 3 movies. So based on that, Matt decides to go visit his friend Johnny right before his championship title fight.
This one's for David.
This movie is a poor tribute to David, Kurt, and Eric Sloan. Johnny wins that fight and becomes the new kickboxing champion with a horrible-looking championship belt. And he and Matt are celebrating. But then Nagal's men show up, offering Johnny a chance to join the Nagal Kickboxing Federation, a league that will unify all the kickboxing organizations. Kind of like what Peter Boyle wanted to do in Part 2, but less of a chance of working. But later, Matt's business partner informs him that there are rumors that David Sloan met with Nagal's men, and he turned them down.
This was just 2 days before they found him dead.
So Matt rushes to find Johnny. Johnny has turned him down, so just like David Sloan, Nagal's men start beating him to death. Matt arrives, but just a moment too late. The damage has already been done to Johnny. But Matt is able to fight them off. The ledge. So just so you know, this movie sucks, but at least that part was pretty cool. Just before Johnny dies,
Stop them.
so Matt decides he's going to go avenge Johnny. Not David. His family got flowers. He's good. Then we go to South Africa, where Nagal is meeting with some business partners who tell him that because they make so much money in gambling, drugs, and prostitution, this whole kickboxing federation doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. It's stupid. But I will say this, at least unlike number 2, nobody in this one is pretending that kickboxing would be a gold mine. But Nagal starts going on and on about how he was a professional kickboxer who got kicked out of the World Kickboxing Organization because of unsportsmanlike conduct. He killed someone in the ring on purpose. That'll get you banned, yes. But because of this, he's going to start his own kickboxing league and take over all of kickboxing. And anyone who doesn't like it, yeah, that. To get to Matt, Nagal bribes a judge to release a prisoner named Paul Croft, a South African native who got locked up in America. With all the men at Nagal's disposal, it seems like this would be a very, very unnecessary hassle, but you know what? Okay. Matt goes to the police. They tell him they have no leads, they have no evidence, so they're dropping the murder case. Seems a little premature to drop a murder case, but okay. So Matt deals with the frustration the only way he knows how. Once he leaves that police station, he was running. When Matt gets home,
I've been sent to kill you.
A fight!
If I were gonna kill you, you'd already be dead.
No fight! Croft says he's not gonna kill Matt, he's just gonna leave, but warns him that as soon as Nagal realizes that Matt is still alive, he's gonna send more people to kill him. But you would also know that as soon as they realize he's alive, they're gonna send people to kill you too, but okay. So Matt decides he's gonna take the fight into Nagal. He's gonna go to South Africa himself. And wouldn't you know it, seated right next to him on the plane is Paul Croft. This is awkward. When they land in Johannesburg, they're getting off the plane and Croft sees Moon and a bunch of other henchmen. So he pushes Matt out of the way because he needs to keep up the appearance that Matt has been taken care of. I mean, they paid him a first-class ticket. But Moon wants Croft to go to Nagal and report to him, and Croft is making it very clear he has no intention of reporting anything to Nagal. Croft realizes he cannot outrun them, and he also can't outfight them. There's way too many of them. He needs help. Luckily for him, Matt shows up. Unluckily for us, this movie is still going. But Moon has something to say.
Reeves!
Uh-oh. Croft's in trouble. After they fight off Nagal's men, Matt Reeves and Paul Croft decide to part ways. Okay. While going around Johannesburg looking for Nagal, Matt Reeves meets Nagal's right-hand man, Bolin.
Well, I'm afraid Mr. Nagal has just found you.
Bolin tells Reeves that he's going to take him to Nagal. But Reeves has other plans. He's going to find Nagal on his own. And he books it. But he cannot outrun them. Again, there's just too many of them. And then he gets surrounded.
Thought you were on your way home.
So I took the scenic route.
Okay, I guess this makes you even. Of course, Matt Reeves and Paul Croft beat all of these men. Fight them off. They even leave one of them hanging. But Bolin's got another trick up his sleeve. He called the police and even got the owner of the shop that this all started in to say that Matt Reeves started the fight so that he could be arrested. She agreed to do this because Nagal has a huge presence in Johannesburg and she's afraid of him. Okay. But when they get to jail, they inform the man that they're in there with, which is that guy that apparently is in every jail that knows how to get stuff, that Nagal is after them. And he does not want to be in the cell when Nagal tries to kill them, so he helps them get out. He even helps Paul Croft get a note out to a contact in Johannesburg. Before somebody can get them out, though, that night, a janitor comes along and is about to throw a Molotov cocktail into their cell. Burn! A couple hours later, their contact finally comes around and unlocks their cell. A little late, but you know what? Whatever, no harm, no foul. Well, there was harm to the janitor, but he kind of deserved it. So they get out of the cell and are led outside and into a truck. The truck takes them to the middle of nowhere, where now Matt Reeves and Paul Croft are on foot trying to find whoever his contact was. But instantly the police have found them and they are chasing them. They even brought dogs. I don't think they do that here, but in Johannesburg, do they really pursue people who are on a petty assault charge that harsh? But Matt Reeves and Paul Croft are able to outrun them and even get into the Jeep of his contact. His contact was a pretty little redhead. Nice, Paul. Very nice. Back to Nagal, he is meeting with the German heavyweight kickboxing champion.
I understand you don't approve of my title.
I don't approve of your title either. Or any of the other ones I've seen. They all look the same. Very ugly. So because the German fighter is not happy with Nagal, they have a fight outside. Nagal is winning and the German fighter decides to surrender.
A challenge to me is a challenge to the death.
I feel like that's kind of something you should have told him before you started the fight. So Nagal uses his Tiger Claw. Okay. Later, Matt Reeves, Paul Croft, and the girl Angie are having dinner, and Matt asks how long the two of them have been together.
He's my brother.
Well, good. This movie needed a love interest for Matt. The next morning, over by their sheep, Matt starts working out. Very intense workouts. Not just the normal stuff like his arms, his back, his legs, but even his neck. That should come in handy. That night, Nagal is having a party that Matt and Croft decide they're going to crash. But it's a formal affairs party, and they are not meeting the dress code.
Dress code.
Isn't it convenient that they always find people whose clothes they can steal that are exactly their size? Turns out Angie found some clothes too, but we're not going to find out where they stashed these people that are apparently just now knocked out, unconscious, and in their underwear. Matt decides to go over to the roulette table that Nagal is at, and Croft decides to confront Bolin.
I've been waiting a long time for this point.
Yeah, I've been waiting like an hour and 15 minutes for this movie to be over.
I spent 3 years in prison because of you, Bolin.
I know your pain. Watching this movie feels like 3 years in prison. Bolin and Croft's fight spills out into the main room.
Please don't kill me.
It's probably not a good idea to do that in front of so many witnesses. Matt decides to make an announcement.
2 of my friends are dead because of this man.
Yeah, Matt, everybody knows who Mr. Nagal is, and they all know what he does. Nobody here cares. Nagal decides it's time for him to go home.
If he's worthy of me, he'll come.
Oh, can't you just fight him so the movie can be over? Nagal's men go after Matt and Croft and some random girl that they never tell us who she is or anything. Like, seriously, who the hell is she? She's just, for no reason, fighting for the two of them, and this is the only time we ever see her. But hey, she helped, I guess.
I'm going after Nagal. Call the cops.
Yeah, because they've been so helpful.
I think it's time we found ourselves another job.
McDonald's is hiring. Matt shows up to Nagal's, confronts him. It's time for the final showdown! Which means this movie's almost over. Yay!
A collection of championship belts. Isn't that something?
Mine's better. They fight! And also, do some pointless flips. And then Nagal goes for the Tiger Claw. Wow. Good thing you did that arrow neck thing. Now they're neck and neck. And that is the killer blow. I'm serious. Staggers around for like 5-10 seconds and then keels over. Fight's over. All this build up in this movie for like a 2-minute boring fight. Oh, good. Maybe they can salvage this fight and it can actually be worth it. Never mind. Now Matt, Angie, and Croft all gather together and go walk out of Nagal's place. And apparently they were in there for a while because suddenly it's daytime. But there you have it. That's the story of Kickboxer 5: The Redemption. The story of a man who got kicked out of kickboxing so he became a gangster, rose to prominence and heights just so he could start a kickboxing federation of his own, and then was stopped by a hero. Sure. So there you have it. That's Kickboxer 5: The Redemption. There's not a lot of information about this movie. I have no idea what their budget was. From the looks of it, $20. And they had no box office to speak of. It was straight to video and really didn't even have any advertising. It was actually out for 2 or 3 years before I found out it existed. And I remember seeing it when I found out it existed. I was like, oh, okay, great, a Kickboxer 5. Hopefully it'll be better than number 4. And when I first rented it to check it out, I barely made it through half of the movie before I said this is boring and stopped watching. My brother didn't even make it that far. Like 10-20 minutes before I stopped watching, he got up and said, dude, this is boring, I'm leaving. The story is stupid. A gangster who's just so obsessed with kickboxing that he's going to risk his entire empire over a kickboxing league. Sounds plausible. But even if you could get past that, the movie itself is just so boring. I didn't watch it all the way through until years and years later when I found a 5-pack that had all 5 of the Kickboxer movies and finally said, you know what? I'm going to sit through it. I was even constantly debating if I wanted to review the movie because that meant I was going to have to sit through it again. But I did because I wanted to get all 5 of them because I'm like that. There is now 3 reboot movies. I am undecided if I'm ever going to review those, but I will tell you if I do, it's not going to be in the near future. At this point, these are all the canon Kickboxer movies. I've gotten through them. I remember watching this one thinking it can't be worse than the 4th one, and man was I surprised, because at least the 4th one I could get through it the first time I watched it. In most countries, this movie was straight to VHS. In some countries, it was straight to television. Not only was it not very well received among critics, it also wasn't very well received among fans. The most common thing said about it is it's boring and predictable, and that is a very fair assessment. It was definitely not a good way to end a series, and I hate saying that because Mark Dacascos, I love the actor. I've seen him in many things, but this was definitely not his best work. They never did explain why Sasha Mitchell did not reprise his role of David Sloan to be in this movie. I remember some people saying it was probably because of legal troubles he ended up having that had him step away from acting for a while, but that was more than a year after this came out. So who knows? He's never commented on it. Nobody else has ever commented on it officially. Maybe he just didn't want to. Maybe they just didn't want him back. Either way, it probably would have been better if it was one of those sequels that really wasn't a sequel. If they really didn't mention David Sloan and pretended it had nothing to do with it. It's just another story that we're tagging Kickboxer 5 onto. Actually probably would have been better than what they ended up giving us. The weird thing about this movie is if you want to watch it, it's ridiculously expensive. A copy of the standalone movie ranges from like $75 to $120. And that's on like a place like Amazon or something. But even on eBay or something, your best bet is to do what I did and get the 5-pack. It's hard to find a brand new copy of that, but you can find an eBay used copy for about $40, which is worth it because you get the other movies, the ones that were actually worth watching. But as far as this one, if recommending it, I could only recommend it if you're with a group of friends and you're all just riffing it. Or if you're just desperate to see all 5 of the canon Kickboxer movies. But ultimately, I honestly don't recommend this one. I kind of recommend if you have already seen the 4th and didn't realize there was a 5th one, just let it be. But if you want to see it cheaply without buying any copies, it's on Tubi. So have at it. At least it's free. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. If you've seen Kickboxer 5, tell me what you thought of Kickboxer 5. Tell me which of the Kickboxer movies was your favorite. Love you guys.